Rain tapped softly against the windows of the small pharmacy on Maple Street, blurring the neon lights outside into streaks of color. Inside, Maria Alvarez stood at the counter clutching a crumpled prescription in trembling hands. Her coat was thin and outdated, damp
I
from the
walked all the
storm,
way here.
and her
Please don't
shoes
send me
squeaked
back.
quietly against the tile floor. Behind her, customers shifted impatiently, glancing at their watches. But Maria barely noticed. Her eyes were fixed on the pharmacist, a middle-aged man scanning the paper with a sympathetic frown. "This medication, it's expensive," he said gently. "Do you have insurance?" Maria swallowed. "No. I clean houses. Cash only. My son, She glanced toward a worn chair in the corner where her 8-year-old son Lucas sat curled up under a blanket. His cheeks were pale, his breathing shallow. Every few minutes, he coughed, a deep, rattling sound that made strangers look away awkwardly. The pharmacist typed slowly, then turned the screen toward her. The total glowed on the monitor. $486. Maria's heart dropped. She opened her purse, a faded fabric bag, and counted carefully. A few crumpled bills. Some coins. $38. "I can pay this much," she whispered. "Please, is there anything cheaper?" The pharmacist shook his head, his voice soft but firm. Without this medication, his condition could get worse quickly. Maria's eyes filled with tears. She felt the weight of exhaustion pressing into her bones, months of working double shifts, skipping meals so Lucas could eat, pretending everything was fine while fear gnawed at her every night. She turned away from the counter, trying to hide her tears. Lucas looked up weakly. "Mom, are we going home?" he asked. "Soon, baby," she said, forcing a smile that cracked under the strain. People in line watched quietly, some sympathetic, others uncomfortable. One woman reached into her purse, then hesitated and looked away. A man cleared his throat and pretended to check his phone. Maria felt invisible. She approached the counter again. "Can you hold the prescription until tomorrow? I'll try to borrow money." The pharmacist hesitated. "I'll keep it here until closing," he said. But he really shouldn't wait.
Maria nodded, her shoulders heavy with defeat. She guided Lucas toward the door, the bell chiming softly as they stepped back into the cold night.
The rain hit her face like needles. She wrapped Lucas tighter in her coat and whispered prayers into the darkness, prayers she wasn't sure anyone still heard. Across the street, a man sitting in a parked car watched them through the windshield. He had been waiting for a pickup order, but something about the scene inside the pharmacy had caught his attention. He saw the way Maria bent down to kiss Lucas's forehead. The way she tried to smile even while crying. He didn't know their story. But he recognized desperation when he saw it. And something inside him shifted. Maria's apartment was small, barely large enough for 2 people. The paint peeled from the walls, and the heater rattled loudly whenever it turned on. She laid Lucas gently on the couch, covering him with blankets while she heated soup on the stove. Lucas watched her with tired eyes. "Mom, will I be okay?" Her chest tightened. "Of course you will," she said softly, brushing his hair back. "You're strong." But when she turned away, her face crumbled. She stared at the empty cupboard and felt the crushing weight of helplessness. She checked her phone, no new messages, no missed calls from friends or employers she had asked for help. She opened a notebook filled with numbers. Debts. Bills. Rent overdue. Electricity warning notices. She tried calling a charity hotline. The automated voice placed her on hold for 20 minutes before disconnecting. She tried a neighbor, but no one answered. Hours passed. Lucas's cough worsened, echoing through the apartment like a warning she couldn't ignore. At midnight, she sat beside him and held his hand, whispering stories from when he was younger, stories about superheroes and brave explorers. She needed him to believe everything would be okay, even when she didn't. Outside, snow began to fall, replacing the rain with silent white flakes. Across town, the man from the pharmacy, Daniel Brooks, sat at his kitchen table. He couldn't stop thinking about Maria and Lucas. He replayed the scene again and again. He remembered his own childhood, his mother crying over medical bills after his father died. Strangers had helped them once. Without that kindness, he wouldn't be where he was today. He looked at his phone, hesitated, then searched for the pharmacy's number. "Hi," he said when someone answered. "Earlier tonight, a woman came in with a sick kid. Did she leave a prescription?" The pharmacist paused. "Yes," he said cautiously. Daniel took a deep breath. "I want to pay for it. All of it." There was silence on the line. Then a soft, surprised laugh. "Are you serious?" "Yes," Daniel said. "But don't tell her who. Just tell her someone cared." Back at the apartment, Maria watched Lucas sleep restlessly. She felt more alone than she ever had. She whispered into the darkness, "Please. I just need one miracle." Her phone buzzed suddenly. Unknown number. She hesitated before answering. "Hello? This is Maple Street Pharmacy," the voice said warmly. "Ma'am, you need to come back tomorrow morning. Your son's medication is ready." Maria frowned. "But I don't have the money." A pause. Then, "It's already been taken care of." She froze, her heart pounding. "By who?" "I'm sorry," the pharmacist said. "They asked to remain anonymous." Maria's knees gave out. She sank onto the floor, tears streaming down her face, not from fear this time, but from a fragile, unfamiliar feeling. Hope. The next morning, Maria rushed Lucas back to the pharmacy. Her hands trembled as she approached the counter. The pharmacist smiled and handed her a small paper bag. "Everything is covered," he said gently. Maria clutched it like treasure. "Please, who helped us?" He shook his head. "Someone who saw you, and cared." Her eyes filled again. She looked around the store, hoping to spot a face that might reveal the mystery, but everyone looked like strangers passing through their own busy lives. She knelt beside Lucas and gave him the first dose with shaking hands. Within hours, his breathing eased slightly. The color began to return to his cheeks. For the first time in weeks, Maria allowed herself to breathe. Days later, while picking up groceries donated by a local church, she ran into Daniel. They recognized each other from the pharmacy instantly, an awkward pause hanging between them. "You were there that night," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "I saw you." She studied his face. "Was it you?" He hesitated, then smiled gently. "I just did what someone once did for my family." Maria covered her mouth, overwhelmed. "You saved my son." "No," Daniel said quietly. "You did. You never gave up on him." They talked for an hour. Daniel learned about her long nights cleaning offices. Maria learned about his construction business and how he funded small acts of kindness anonymously whenever he could. Their story began spreading after a church volunteer shared it online, photos of Lucas smiling again, Maria hugging the pharmacist, Daniel standing quietly in the background. People across the country commented, shared, donated to families in need. Volunteers started offering free rides to hospitals. The ripple effect grew. And Maria realized something powerful. One act of kindness didn't just change her life, it reminded thousands of people that compassion still existed. Months later, Lucas ran across a sunny park, chasing pigeons with laughter that felt like music. Maria sat on a bench, watching him with tears in her eyes, this time, tears of gratitude. She had found a stable job at a community center that helped struggling families. Inspired by Daniel's kindness, she began organizing support groups for single parents facing medical crises. Daniel became a regular volunteer. The two developed a quiet friendship built on mutual respect and shared purpose. One afternoon, Maria spoke at a local event about compassion. "I used to think the world was too busy to care," she told the crowd. "But one stranger reminded me that humanity is still alive." Her speech went viral online. Millions watched. Comments poured in from people promising to help others in their own communities. A year after the pharmacy night, Maria returned to Maple Street with Lucas and a basket of thank you cards from families her program had helped. The pharmacist hugged them warmly. "Look how far you've come," he said. Maria smiled. "Because someone believed in us when we couldn't believe in anything." She never forgot the feeling of standing helpless at that counter. But now, instead of shame, she carried purpose. That evening, she tucked Lucas into bed. "Mom," he said sleepily, "are there really heroes in real life?" She kissed his forehead. "Yes," she whispered. "Sometimes they're just ordinary people who decide to care." Outside, the city lights glowed warmly. Somewhere, another stranger helped someone in need, because a story had inspired them. And Maria finally understood. Faith in humanity isn't restored by grand gestures alone. Sometimes, it's restored by a quiet act, a stranger's kindness, and the courage to keep loving even when the world feels cold.